Welcome to Dobler Talk, a videocast discussing strategy, tactics, cards and card play, decks and deck building for a Game of Thrones 2nd edition. I am your host, Dobler, because I like to hear myself talk to myself.
And welcome to another episode of Dobler Talk. Thank you for joining me again. Last episode, we built the Night's Watch Grab and Go Build-A-Bear banner pack. And one of the characters I tossed away without a thought was the Veteran Builder. And I do not regret that decision. However, today I'd like to talk about the Veteran Builder in another vein. Look at his ability. Action. Sacrifice Veteran Builder to choose and stand a location. One of the things I enjoy doing most with Game of Thrones is sometimes building fun, splashy effects. And even though I don't like Veteran Builder in most Night's Watch or Night's Watch banner decks, I do look at his ability and the first thing I think of is, can I get double usage of a really neat location? Now, what we're going to talk about today is just that, double usage of a really neat location. I don't necessarily want to talk about using this as a utility ability to stand a location that's been knelt with the Lord Sport Shipwright. And for the record, is there a name more fun to say than Lord Sport? I don't think so. I implore you to try and find one. Lord Sport. Lord Sport. Lord Sport. But moving on, because I have to, what I'd like to do is look at the locations we currently have available to us in 2nd edition and say, is there a cool, fun, splashy combo that we can possibly build around? So what I've done is I have gone to Thrones DB or Card Game DB, your choice, and I have done a search on all the locations that have the word kneel in their texts. I've grabbed them, and we're going to look to see if there are any that work. Well, first, let's look at the locations that kneel, but it would be illegal for them to actually work with Veteran Builder. We have Gaston Grey and the King's Road. Both of these locations kneel and sacrifice themselves in order to be used. So since they're going to be sacrificed, they won't be in play for their Veteran Builder to sacrifice itself to stand them. So we will toss them, get out of here, and remove them from possibility. Then we have 3 more locations that cannot be used because of timing rules. The Red Keep. When the challenge phase ends, if you have not lost a power challenge this round, kneel the Red Keep to draw 2 cards. The Wall similar. When the challenge phase ends, kneel the Wall to gain 2 power for your faction. And Dragonstone Reaction after you win dominance. Kneel Chamber the Painted Table to move 1 power from an opponent's faction to your own. Well, first, these 2 that I read initially, the Red Keep and the Wall, have interrupts at the end of the phase. The phase is ending. This card actually interrupts the resolution of the phase ending. It triggers, it resolves itself, and the phase ends. There is simply not an option for player actions to trigger Veteran Builder, stand it, and use it again. There's a second reason it can't be used. If you go to the rule book, right here, you look up interrupts, and then you see here, unlike actions, which may be initiated during action windows, each interrupt may be initiated once each time its specific triggering condition occurs, as described in the interrupt abilities text. So essentially, when the phase ends, the Red Keep could only trigger 1 time. Even if you magically had a way to stand it, you can't even attempt to use it again because you can only use it once per condition. Even though Chamber of the Painted Table is a reaction and not an interrupt, it follows the same rules. So these 3 locations can't be used. I know what you're saying. Why did we just spend a minute talking about cards that can't be used? Well, because I like to talk about the asinine and the irrelevant on this show. All right, let's begin looking at locations that can be used. First, we will grab our 7 cost-reducing house-specific locations. Each one of these, during the marshalling phase, you can kneel it to lower the cost of the next house-specific card by 1. Again, Night's Watch not invited to the party, but each of these are the same. And the first thing I'd say is it worth discarding a 3-cost character to lower the cost of the next card by 1? Seems like a very bad trade-off. Maybe there are a few occasions when that would be valuable to you, but in general, that's not something you build around, so we're not going to include those. Next comes 3 locations specific to winning challenges. Plaza of Punishment after you win a power challenge, kneel Plaza of Punishment. Street of Sisters after you win a power challenge by 5 or more, kneel your faction card to gain 1 power. Or Shadow Black Lane after you win an intrigue challenge, kneel your faction card to search the top 10 cards. Well, we're going to remove Shadow Black Lane because it actually kneels the faction card and not the location itself. And we're going to discard Street of Sisters because it does the same thing, and I clearly didn't notice that when I was grabbing my location. So on to Plaza of Punishment. This is a possibility. However, it seems difficult. You would have to win a power challenge on offense or defense. Then after Plaza of Punishment has resolved and you're in a normal player action window, you would discard Veteran Builder. You would stand Plaza of Punishment. Then you have to win another power challenge on offense or defense, whichever one you haven't previously done. Seems kind of difficult to base around because your opponent will probably see it coming. As much as I love Plaza of Punishment and it's one of my favorite cards, I simply do not see that being effective to build a deck around winning power on offense and defense and then triggering Veteran Builder to use Plaza twice. All right, next we have a couple utility locations. Iron Fleet Scout. Kneel is to choose a participating Greyjoy character until the end of the challenge. It gets +1, +2 instead if you were the first player. I like this location, but the idea of having to discard a 3-cost character in order to give you a strength bump, maybe there are a few times when you are in a pinch and you have to do it, but it's just simply not a strong enough effect to build around. Gates of Winterfell. I do again like this location. Kneel Gates of Winterfell to reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a start card, draw it. The interesting thing here is that in order for this to work together, you're going to have to be either Night's Watch banner to Stark or Stark banner to Night's Watch. And you're not going to have a deck completely full of Stark cards. There are going to be Night's Watch cards in them as well. So you run the risk of basically flipping over a card with Gates of Winterfell and it's not a start card, and now you've wasted a character to not even put another card in your hand. So I would say just the simple risk of this makes Gates of Winterfell not worth building around, but you could even make the stronger point that discarding a card to get one is probably not a good exchange to begin with. Highgarden. Now we're starting to get to some locations that I think have some possibilities. Challenge action, kneel Highgarden, and pay 1 gold to choose an attacking character. Stand that character and remove it from the challenge. This does have possibility in a Night's Watch defense deck. The idea of being able to chuck one of your characters to potentially remove one of your opponent's challenges if they're only attacking with one character does seem fairly powerful. However, you do have to begin assessing the cost. Highgarden itself does cost 1 gold. So to use Highgarden the first time, 1 gold and kneel itself. To use Highgarden the second time, you have had to chuck a 3-cost character, pay another gold to kneel and trigger its ability. seems pretty costly. I don't know how regularly you're going to be able to do it, but it is something to think about. Maybe here in the future, as gold becomes more available, or maybe it doesn't, then we can reassess this. Something to consider, but I'm probably not building around it yet. Next comes Castle Black. Well, here we have the same faction. Kneel Castle Black to choose and stand into defending Night's Watch character. Till the end of the challenge, that character gets +2. So, Castle Black is probably my favorite location for Night's Watch. I love the fact that I'm getting a stand and a strength bump out of it. So essentially what Veteran Builder does is gives me a second opportunity for a stand and a strength bump at the cost of a character. If I'm building, again, a Night's Watch deck, particularly Night's Watch defense deck, this is probably a combination that I'm considering. But for right now, it doesn't excite me too terribly much. So we're going to move on. Now we're getting to the 3 I like best. Raiding Longship. If you are the first player, kneel Raiding Longship to choose a defending character without attachments. That character does not contribute its strength this challenge. Now, again, this is going to be a specific deck type, most likely a Greyjoy Power Rush or a Greyjoy Direct Kill deck, one where you are looking to get unopposed challenges as often as possible. And in those decks, you generally have 1 or 2 power characters that you are attempting to do that with. Asha with her stand ability, Balin with a Seal of the Hand on him, Theon with his power grabbing ability. What you are looking at with those is you want the unopposed or you want the direct kill through the Sea Stone Chair. And so what I like about this is in those decks, you have cheap characters meant to throw away as chud to help you accomplish what you're trying to do, as well as your own claim soak. So the idea is that I can enforce one unopposed challenge most likely with the first Raiding Longship, toss my Veteran Builder to stand the Raiding Longship, and do it again, hopefully enforcing multiple unopposed challenges. Something to consider. I'm probably not doing it at this point in time because I can likely get my unopposed through Balin's ability himself or through stealth, but if you're not able to repeatedly do that, then this is a combo that you could look at. Second to last card, Sunspear. After you lose a challenge as the defending player, kneel Sunspear to raise the claim value on your revealed plot card by 1 during challenges of the same type. I love this combo, but one of the reasons I love it is I love high claim. It just makes me happy to kill 2 of your characters during a military or 2 of your characters during an intrigue. And the idea of being able to trigger Sunspear once after I lose 1 challenge, then during a player action, discard the Veteran Builder, stand the Sunspear, and then when I lose a second challenge, trigger it again, and now I've raised my claim, and I come back at you. That really appeals to me. The one risk is that, keep in mind, we're having to lose challenges. So if you assume one of your challenges is the military, you have to have claim soak, and then you're also going to lose another character. So there is risk in not having enough board presence to even be able to pull this off. And then comes to my last location, the only one I would probably seriously consider trying to build a deck combo around, and that'll be the Mander. Reaction after you win a challenge by 5 or more strength, kneel the Mander to draw 2 cards. And the main reason I like this combo is assuming you do have the ability to win more than 1 challenge by 5 strength or more. And keep in mind that you could do the power challenge first with Veteran Builder, win by 5, then sacrifice the Knelt Veteran Builder to stand the Mander, win another challenge by 5. In essence, I have chucked 1 card to get 2 more that I would not have otherwise been able to get. And this is the only combo of the ones I've mentioned that can give you pure card advantage. Almost everything else is a 1-for-1 trade. Sometimes it's a -1 card advantage trade. So anyways, this is the only combo I would currently attempt to build around, and it would obviously have to be a deck with many strength bumps. But one thing I will say about Veteran Builders is it is an interesting card that as the card pool grows, our options are going to grow. He may not ever be a standard Night's Watch character, but if you love combos and you see some cool locations come out with stand effects, he is definitely someone you'll want to look at for some fun explosive combos. So thank you for watching another episode of Dobbler Talk. I'd like to give two quick shout outs. One to the White Book Podcast. Thank you for occasionally having me on and for hosting these video casts on your website. And also a big thank you to Rob St. John for helping me through the initial process of getting these video casts started. If you have not visited his YouTube page, please do. He has got many videos of gameplay, and I think you will find a lot of value in those. So thanks for watching, and have a good day.